Hi, Frankfurt Musikmesse 2011 was a particularly exciting show for RME, with the launch of a number of products and with a well-deserved award. But let's start with what's new. RME's successful bidirectional MADI to AES and AES to MADI converter, the ADI-6432, has been around for some time, but they've now launched the newly developed ADI-6432R BNC version, which offers broadcasters full integration and fail-safe operation using standard BNC connectors and dual redundant power supplies. The Bob 16 is a range of particularly useful rack-mount breakout boxes that allow connection of multi-channel XLRs with the common 25-pin D-sub connector format. The Bob 16i gives you 16 XLR inputs to D-sub outputs, and the Bob 16o gives you 16 XLR outputs to D-sub inputs. The Bob 16i0 gives you 8 XLR inputs to D-sub outputs and 8 XLR outputs to D-sub inputs. You got that? Don't be fooled, this is not a baby face. This is in fact the new RME Remote Control for the Fireface UFX and ADI-8QS. For the ADI-8QS, this simply replaces the old remote, but for the Fireface UFX, this brand new solid metal case remote will allow you to control the most important monitoring functions. And don't be fooled again, this is not a baby face either, but a brand new audio interface from ALVA called the Nanoface. Now you may already know ALVA, as they've been supplying RME users with quality analog and digital cables for some time now, but this shiny new ALVA Nanoface obviously draws its inspiration from the award-winning RME Babyface. But because it's not built in Germany or includes many of the features of the Babyface, such as Total Mix, it does mean that it comes in at less than €250, and in real money that's only about £220. So this really is an affordable and quality interface for recording, DJs, gamers, schools and audiophiles everywhere. The MIPA, or the Musikmesse International Press Award, is regarded as the Grammy of the musical instrument and pro audio industries. And this year, more than 100 magazines from all over the world voted for the best musical instruments and audio equipment in more than 40 categories. And guess who won the MIPA's award for the best recording hardware? Yep, that's right, RME's Fireface UFX. Which brings me nicely to RME's last announcement at the show, which was the much anticipated Fireface UFX upgrade for the standalone USB record feature. I spoke with RME's Head of Design, Matthias Carstens, who explained all.
Well, the Fireface UFX ships for about 6 months now, and 2 or 3 days ago we released the firmware that enables USB recording. Now this is a really hot feature, and you can see I'm sweating already. So what you do is plug a USB stick into the front of the unit, push the meters button, and you get a recording screen. On this recording screen you see the file name, you can see some information about the recording, you have a time bar, and of course you have the usual transport console. I use this cursor, go to the record button, push here, and we start recording. There's a second screen telling you about all the properties of the stick, like the capacity, the free space left, and the maximum write time, which is there to see if the stick is quick enough to handle the recording. You also have a special hard disk load indication here, and here is also an error indication. So you can quickly see if your stick is capable of recording all the channels that you selected. Now this is the interesting part. You can indeed select up to 60 channels. The UFX has 30 inputs and 30 outputs, and you can record any of these at the same time. That is very easy to do. In the new Total Mix, you just click the so-called record view, and the mute and solo buttons change to playback and record buttons. Now you can select the channels to be recorded like this. Very easy to do. You can also set up some channels for playback. So then start the recording here as well as on the unit. And you can see the load, the arrows, the rest, free space and things like that. So after you recorded the file, you can also play it back, of course. You assign the playback channels here, and then just hit the play button, and playback starts. Now the interesting thing is that you cannot only play back the channels here directly at the output of the unit, you can also play them back into the mixer input. That means whatever is on the stick, even if it's only a 2-channel stereo file from your favorite music, you can just process it again through the mixer with all the EQs, with all the dynamics, and with echo and reverb, and then send it out somewhere here. That is super flexible and offers and gives some very new features and functionalities that you usually not think about. But if you see this working, you get amazed because this all works completely standalone. It has nothing to do with the computer. The recording takes place directly in the hardware, and if the computer crashes, the recording just goes on. So it's very safe, and it's an interesting way to work. I'll give you another example. You go to the next live concert that you want to record, and instead of recording everything on your computer, where you're never sure that you have clicks or have a problem with your hard drives or whatever, you just use the computer as remote control. Just use Total Mix on it to comfortably use everything. You can even use a cheap netbook for that. Yeah, and record directly in the unit on the USB drive. Just one of many examples what you can do with this feature. It's really astonishing.
So when is this available?
Basically right now, because we put a so-called public pre-release on the forum, the RME forum in the web. But I must admit that we have a few smaller things that we still have to fix. But you can see here on the booth, it's working all the UFXs and they're working all day, and all the features, it works really good already. The basic functionality is okay, we just make a little bit cosmetics here and there in the next 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay, our thanks to Matthias and the RME team, and if you want to know more, go to synthax.co.uk or to rme-audio.com.